So, hello everyone. So, this is episode number 7 of the podcast. I'm really excited today. So, today's subject is going to be probably the more official term would be inner energy attunement, but I like to call it energetic hygiene. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about this and why it is so incredibly important for everybody, but especially as highly sensitive empaths. It is something that I can't stress enough how incredibly important. I haven't made sure I had an outline, so I make sure I cover everything. But what we're going to talk about today is I know you hear a lot of different things about meditating and all of these other different practices, mindfulness, many different things that you can do. It's interesting. A lot of people don't realize it's actually more of like an inner energy tune-up is a lot of those different practices. And for empaths especially, and we basically take in a lot of information that comes in as energy all the time. When we're out in public, we're around other people, we're picking up information and thoughts and feelings. It's a whole lot of things going on. And so this is another reason why it's incredibly important to do things like a daily hygiene for it energetically. But we're going to talk a little bit about it. And I promise you, it's not going to be anything hard and crazy. I call this, it's not going to be homework when you're done with this. It's hard work. And so we're going to go over a couple of things that are really important. I'm going to explain a little bit of what I'm talking about when I say energetic hygiene. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I promise. I'm going to kind of make sure I keep to my notes because I want to make sure I stay focused because I get so excited I'm just going to wander off into unknown parts. So let's make sure we stick to this. So basically, like I said, we're talking about inner energy attunement and what that really means to you. It sounds very complicated, but I promise you it's going to be as easy as doing something like brushing your teeth or taking your vitamins, but just as important. Okay, so the first thing I really want to talk about is like, well, really, what is it? So your inner energy hygiene is affected by everything that's around us. So I'll use for me, for example. So I am an empath. I'm a highly sensitive and tuned individual. So I don't even have to leave my house to connect with other people's energy. Maybe I get messages from someone, maybe somebody comes into my mind and information starts coming at me. Well, I know this is going to sound silly, but it's incredibly true. It's a lot like the lint filter in your dryer. Okay, go ahead, have a good laugh, but let me explain why it is a lot like that. Because just like with the lint filter in the dryer, if you don't clean it out, you're not going to dry if you put a load of towels in there, forget it. It's going to take 4 days for that to dry, right? Because there's no flow. There's no flow. And all that lint, you're like, where does that even come from? It's like us with information, feelings, emotions, all of the energy in the collective. There's so many things going on around outside of us that kind of gets stuck to us energetically. It's stuck in our auric field, and it can also have an effect on how we feel on a daily basis. So a lot of times you may be picking up information and you may not be, maybe you're feeling sad out of nowhere. Maybe you're feeling disconnected. Many different emotions and feelings will come through, and many of them, good news is many of them are not yours. The good news is you can clear them out. The bad news is if they stick around a lot, like I said, hence the dryer thing, you're not gonna have flow. So that's why it's incredibly important. So like I said, I'm gonna make sure I stick to all these topics about this. So basically what this is, and understand there's a difference between energy attunement. You've probably heard about clearing your energy, right? Doing an energy cleansing and clearing, or they're talking about protection. That's probably the biggest one. Especially for empaths or highly sensitives, is a lot of things. There's whole books about how to protect yourself, how to shield yourself, how to survive as an empath. The whole energy behind that concept, even though I know it was very well meant, it is very unempowering. And for an empath, we are so much in tune with so many things that are going on. If we're not in control basically of what's going on, coming in and out, all of that information, then it takes away our own personal power. So when I've been working with empaths, doing energy coaching and all of this over the years, one of the biggest premises is it's not about teaching you how to shield, that's very fear-based. And it's also not helping you on the inside. That's just like having a big candy coating outer shell. But if the inside's not good, that's a problem. So Like I said, plus it's very unempowering. Especially we feel, as empaths, we feel so incredibly unempowered by a lot of things. The feelings of the emotions of everyone. When we walk into a room, that can be you can feel very unempowered. You feel like everything has control over how you feel and do and act and all of those things, but you. So this is a way for me to put you back into the driver's seat. But not only put you in the driver's seat, I want you to sit behind the controls and really understand just how much um, motion and stuff you have regarding all of those controls. So that's a big thing of what energy attunement. So energy attunement part is learning how to do all those different gauges and dials and understanding what that all means, so it makes your whole experience of traveling through this world in your body system, my dear, to make it a lot easier to understand. Just look at it this way. It's like, say you've driven the same car for 5 or 6 years and you rent a car because you're on vacation, and you get behind the wheel of a car you've never driven before, and the whole dashboard looks completely different. It can be very hard to navigate in an unfamiliar place, on top of the fact you're in an unfamiliar vehicle trying to maneuver through that area, right? That's what it's like for us empaths. So learning inner energy attunement is learning how to be able to work with all those different dials. And that's part of what we're going to teach you. The hygiene part of it is the cleaning and the clearing and the reset of the energy. So those two things together, it's like being able to completely understand and navigate with all of the options that you have to be able to navigate. On top of the fact, it's like having a tune-up, an energetic tune-up going on in here, so you run smoothly. Yes, I know, what a concept, right? Okay, so those are the two big things. Like I said, we're gonna talk about protection, because in these methods, you will start to understand there's a lot of that you don't really need. A lot of what goes on with a lot of those things is going into it, giving the power away to whatever the uncomfortable feeling really is. We'll talk about more of that going on. And I want you to understand, so not only have I been a tarot and oracle reader for over 30 years, but I have been doing energy clearing, energy attunements, energy coaching for over 30 years. I have worked in numerous different energy modalities and things like that. And I know a lot of how a lot of different magical practices work. I will tell you right now, with as much experience as I have, 98% of the power or the oomph behind anything that is negative to your system, it is in the belief that it has sovereignty over you, which means it's like I said, that's the difference. It's like, say I'm getting ready to go into, I love vintage clothing and stuff. So before I go into like an antique store or variety mall that has a bunch of vintage stuff, it's a good idea to be more aware of what goes on when I go in. But if my energy is attuned, if I really know what's going on, I've got everything clean and clear, I know how to work all those different dials and gauges, I know walking into that space, if I start to feel anything that's slightly uncomfortable, I don't immediately start to feel anxiety. I tune in and be like, okay, well, that just means I need to adjust this style. That means, okay, if I feel uncomfortable around people or something, an object that's in that area, I know, okay, maybe it's time to take my energy field and adjust it so it goes out or goes in a little more when I'm moving through the room. There's a big difference besides me going in there and doing the whole protection thing, because then I'm walking in with the energy of the belief that if I walk in there, there's a chance something can hurt me. So I want you to understand that is the big difference. That is the empowerment of learning attunement and energetic hygiene is what I like to call it. I mean, you can call it energy clearing, all of those things, but those are the two concepts. So hopefully now you got a better understanding of the difference of what we're going to be talking about today and why I'm so incredibly excited about this. Because like I said, what a concept, right? Just think about how it would feel if you were the one behind the seat of how all of these things are going on. What if you could learn how to maneuver those styles, work with your energy flow, and not have a lot of buildup, a lot of extra everybody else's stuff clogging up the lint filter, right? What a concept. So we're going to work on that because that's my whole goal with this. So I'm really excited. Okay. So let me make sure I'm checking my notes because I know I'm going to go totally off subject, but I don't want to because this is so important. Okay. So we talked about what was the inner energy attunement. So hopefully you understand the difference, like I said, between just the protection thing, which is very fear-based, where you're handing over the control of the situation from the get-go, right? And so the next one we're going to talk a little more about what energetic hygiene really means as a daily process. So there is, I have another podcast, I cannot remember which one, but there is one of them where I walk you through the next thing completely all the way through to explain it, but is what I call the heart connection exercise. And it's something that takes less than a minute in the morning, less than a minute at night. And it is a way for anybody, especially empaths, to not only connect more with our heart space, but to do this energy hygiene and attunement, both of them, in less than a minute in the morning and less than a minute at night, and to have a tool during the day to kind of tune up as you go, right? You're like, what? Okay, so let's talk a little more about what this is. So the exercise, like I said, there's another episode where I go more in depth about what that exercise is and what it really does, but I'm going to give you the basic idea. So the concept of this is your heart space, your heart chakra, you may have heard that term. This is the seat of your soul. This is where you, the soul you, is based. This is also where your inner GPS or your inner North Star is. This is also where your inner child lives. So this space here, connecting with this space on a deep level and filling this back up with positive energy and clearing out all the old and anything negative and all of that stuff, being able to do that all the time is an incredibly empowering exercise. And I promise you, like I said, it literally takes less than a minute in the morning and again at night. And it is the tune-up that if you do this every day, big difference, right? So you're like, well, what is it? So like I said, now you understand what the concept of the heart space is, why this is incredibly important for us to stay connected. And one of the hard parts for an empath is as we're going through life, there's all this information coming at us. We're feeling a lot of feelings, emotions, all of this energy that we are feeling and sensing and getting information all the time. When that starts to really kick in, if you are not in the practice of connecting here and doing the energy attunement and the energy, like the hygiene, right? The energetic hygiene part, you, instead of connecting here to work, you get connected up here. Literally, you're stuck in your brain. You are stuck in the process. And then that's when the anxiety raises. And then it's just like, it's like being stuck on a carousel and it's just going around and around and around as it keeps picking up speed and energy. Okay, so to avoid that, like I said, is learning this practice. So the one of doing, like I said, you're connecting with your heart space. And in the exercise, it's literally just one hand over the other, right? So your hands are right over kind of where your sternum is. So while I'm talking right now, I can feel my words vibrating in the palm of my hand, right? So when we're doing this in the morning, this exercise, I mean, you can use other words, but I always say, at least try a good thank you. Those words are gratitude. And when you say the words to your heart and you're telling your heart, thank you. And in this process, it's one hand over here, one hand over here. It's a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and the words, thank you. And you do that at least in a series of 3. So it's a breath in, breath out, thank you. And that process alone in the morning is incredibly important. And I would say try to do this before you do anything else. So as you're just starting to wake up, before you pick up your phone, before you start thinking about your to-do list, any of that, do this exercise. It takes less than a minute, but it's incredibly important because you are also at that time, you are replenishing your heart space. You're filling it up with love and gratitude. You're also teaching your heart that you deserve to have love and gratitude and attention first thing in the morning. Okay? Very important. You are also teaching your inner child that you are safe, that this is in your now. This is not the past. You are helping them heal along the way. So this way, when you start your day, your heart space is full. You're already not running on E, which a lot of us usually are, right? So And like I said, there's another video, that will go into more depth. But to understand that that simple exercise, as simple as it is, it does two incredibly important things. It does your energy attunement for the morning, because instead of being out over here, going in, focusing in 50 different directions, you first take a moment connecting with your heart space. Remember, I said this is the seat of your soul. This is you taking a moment to deeply connect with yourself on a soul level, my dear, and filling your heart space up with love and gratitude, which means when you go out into the world, you're not going to be running on E. And I tell people, it's just like going to the grocery store if you're starved. You're going to end up buying a whole bunch of crap you don't really want or need, right? It's kind of the same thing. You will go through your day making decisions you don't feel really good about later. You'll feel very overwhelmed. Anxiety and all of that will just literally have you rolling around all day. So throughout the day, part of the backup exercise is to put one hand over your heart, take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. When you do this, especially when you've been doing the exercise first thing in the morning and then you're going to be doing it at night, when you get into the series of doing this, when you start doing this during the day, whatever, if you feel anxiety raising or feel a little frustration kicking in, put the hand over the heart, do the breath in, breath out. You are connecting with your heart. You are refilling your heart space up, right? You're also reminding your brain, your body, everything that, hey, in the morning, we really connected. We filled this space up. It's going to be okay. And it's a way to help self-soothe your inner child. So this exercise, as simple and as easy as it is incredibly important because it puts you back in the driver's seat. It gives you back more control over what's going on throughout the day that's outside of you. Because I have a little secret for you. Everything outside of you, you have zero control and influence on. None. And it's best to just let that be, because when you let go of trying to avoid things and shielding and being afraid and all of these things and trying to do so much work to make things work as good as possible to try to avoid negative feelings, you spend a lot of energy putting energy out and you're depleting yourself. So this simple exercise will eliminate the need for that. And the more you're able to do that, the better it gets. Okay, so now that we talked a little bit about that and the concept of now you understand this connection here, right? We're connecting with that. That is the attunement part. Now, what is the energetic or the hygiene, the energetic clearing, right? Well, that means even like during the day, one hand over your heart, taking the deep breath in and a deep breath out, you are pulling up the energy that it's causing that anxiety and all of that. You are pulling that up with your breath and you're releasing it. That's the clearing. And you're like, what? Yes, that's the concept. The energy attunement is the hands over the heart, the gratitude, the connecting with the heart. That's the attunement. The clearing is the breath work. The breath work. That's the second part of the magic, believe it or not. I know, and you're like, what? So yes, that's how super crazy easy this is. And no, this isn't something I just rambled on about. This is literally something that has been an attunement process that has taken 30 years in the making, pretty much. But it has worked so well in so many aspects. I do this all the time. There's times I don't remember to do this, and guess what happens? I get really fried. It's like being burnt toast. Not a good thing, right? Okay, so now that we covered what that is and how that can help you, right? Let's go ahead and talk about, now there is 4 concepts of energy hygiene, basically, over the elements. And this is a good way to remember them. There's the 4 main elements, which are earth, water, air, and fire. So let's talk about what each of those mean when we're talking about energy clearing for your energetic hygiene practice, right? So earth, now, usually people think earth because they think, oh, ground. Now, I understand, yes, this is probably going to push a few buttons with other people, but that's okay. I have realized over the past, especially year and a half, working in my own practice, working with my energy, I am finding even me as many tools that I have come across over the years and have worked on to do traditional grounding in many different forms, that process does not work the way it used to. And if you have had other ways in the past where you were able to clear and ground your energy out, yes, it is a beautiful connection to connect with nature when the weather is nice, to be outside and have your bare feet in the grass. Trust me, I can't wait. It's wintertime right now. I can't wait till I can do that again. That is a beautiful practice. But the practice of using it for grounding to take the energy that's overflow or stuff that's not yours and you need to clear out, right? Grounding and pushing that energy and putting it down into the earth, that type of energy clearing is not working anymore. So it's not your imagination. I cannot tell you how many people I've worked with, either one-on-one or in groups and stuff, in the past like year and a half, 2 years. And this isn't just you guys. This is, I have several friends that have been light workers, and every time I perform, Reiki practitioners, different energy modalities, they even themselves are realizing grounding doesn't work the way it used to. So don't feel bad. It's not just you, it's across the board. But the good news is you just shift to transmutation. And you're like, well, what does that mean? That basically means we are taking the energy, whatever it is. We'll say it is taking, say you had a conversation with someone at work and it just didn't feel very well. You get home and you're like, wow, I feel really upset. And you just feel very kind of crunchy, right? It feel ugh. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go back to work tomorrow and this is going to feel really weird. What am I going to do? I just feel like this energy is like, I just feel like I'm dealing with all this stuff. Even though I'm not in the conversation anymore, I still feel it, right? So it's like, what do you do with that energy? Well, traditionally they're like, well, ground it out. Well, since you can't really ground the energy out, it's still stuck kind of in your system, so to speak. The best way to do is to do either transmutation, which is basically like breaking energy up. So I'll use this for an example. Let's say the energy of that emotion was a big block of ice. Now the block of ice is water, just in a very different form than flowing water or steam or any other, forms that water can be presented in, right? It's a big block of ice. Well, I can't just pull that block of ice out of my system. I have to break it up. I have to crush it up into little bits of pieces of ice so I can get it out of my system. Energy transmutation is the same thing, believe it or not. And I'll show you a couple of things. So this is a little different because I use this for when I'm doing my readings, but the concept is the same. This is basically a spray bottle. It has water in it. I have salt in it. You can use water, a spray bottle. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't even have to be a glass one like this. A spray bottle with water. You can use table salt if you'd like. If you can use things like pink Himalayan salt, the little, I always have salt everywhere. I just love working with it. Just like the stuff you get at the grocery store. You can put just a little bit of that into a bottle like this. That spray now has become, energetically, this is a transmutation device, which means the energy of this salt will break up all of that negative and oogie feeling energy, and it will transmute it. Then it is very easy to clear and release it. Is that starting to make sense now? So you're like, well, how does that work? Well, say I come home and I've got the big ice block of energy from that not feeling good interaction at work, right? I get home and I'm like, oh, this is not feeling good. What am I going to do? So say I've got this spray, I will literally just do stuff like this. Sometimes I'll do a little spray, got a little spray, and I am literally, oh my God, it feels so good every time I do that. So because the intention when I created this spray, I put the energy of the intention in it, that it is for me to break up and help release negative energy or stagnant energy or energy blocks. So when I do something as simple as what you just saw me do, energetically, I have now broken up and cleared a lot of that energy. And you're like, oh, that's all? Well, that's one of the steps, but that is one of the first ones. You can do, and it works with what works best for you. You can do stuff like that. You can also use, a lot of people have the room diffusers, the little ones that you put the aromatherapy oils in. You can use ones to do the same thing. If there's certain scents that when you smell them feel very peaceful and loving, maybe you love the smell of fresh roses, you can use rose oil in it. You can find different oils that speak to you because it's all about what's attuned to you. It's just like music. Everybody has different tastes in what they like in music, right? So some music you may, as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And somebody else would be like, ooh, right? So find the music that feels right to you. Find the types of things like the sprays and all of that. I have a whole list. Actually, I just uploaded, it's like a 3-day energy cleansing thing. And I talk about a lot of this. So if you're like, oh, do I need to take notes? It's okay. I uploaded it already to my online community. My goodness, I can't even think of it. Empathically You, which is a free community to join. It's a 3-day little process, but there's a lot of information in there on how to do these types of things like the spray bottles, and you can use things like incense. There's a lot of different things that you can use to be able to break up the energy. Oh wait, sorry, I didn't want to say incense because there's a little bit of difference for that. So certain incenses and stuff like sage or Palo Santo, a lot of the energy of those is more like an energetic broom. They will sweep negative energy out, but they won't actually transmute it. So certain elements have to be a little different. So I don't want to complicate it too much, but don't worry, it's okay. So the good news is, yes, there are simple things like spray bottles with a little salt. You can have a certain kind of, like I said, room diffuser. Certain oils are very energy signature wise, are very good for transmuting or breaking up stagnant energy. I'm probably going to have to make a whole list of that stuff and then upload it too. But that's on my to-do list now, but I'll be helping you with that too. Okay, so we'll talk back about the 4 elements, right? So like I said, the first one was earth. And like I said, usually people think of grounding. Actually, what it really is using things, especially that are of the earth. Salt, right? That's another reason why that element is really good for breaking up negative energy. Things like the oils that are in diffusers, like all natural essential oils, like rose oils, citrus oils, lemongrass, all of those natural essential oils have the earth energy of them. So they are one of the elements that will help you in this. The next one is water. Now, in water, something like this, you're using 2 of the elements. You've got the salt, you've got the water. You can also, like with me, I put a little essential oils in here too. So then I've got now 3 of the elements. So it's like a triple threat. It's like a triple strength antibiotic, for energy, right? And then the next one is fire. Now, fire isn't just, yes, you can light a candle, you can do things like that. But I will tell you, the energy of fire is not just lighting a candle or some of that. It's also in the process of releasing. That process of releasing could be in ways, as long as I always promote them, as long as they are healthy ways for you to release and that it is not harmful for others. But I tell people, depending on what level of what it is, there are many things that you can do that fire you up that are like passion things. You may be that you're a musician or you do art. In your creative process, that is the fire energy. That is soul fire. So when there are things that light you up, it could be music, it could be dance. Oh my gosh, dance. Oh, I just got chills. So dance, you can put on music and just dance. I don't care if it's 70s, disco. If you put that music on and immediately you're dancing, that is soul fire. That is the fire element. So remember I said there's 4 elements. You got the grounding, or the earth, which is grounding doesn't work as much. So grounding, right? Earth, which is things that are of the earth. Like I said, using elements like the essential oils, using the salts, that's the earth one. Water, like I said, you can use that. You can do it where you can go take a shower. Maybe you make a salt scrub that you can use in the shower. Then you're using the elements of the salt, right? Which is an earth element on top of using the water, even just having a shower, that energy. That's why a lot of times it feels so good to just go stand under the shower, right? You feel like, oh, I just feel like I can relax, because it is actually the motion and the energy of the water that is helping you clear and release. Taking a shower, that is, believe it or not, energetic hygiene, which I know, very tongue-in-cheek, because it's also the way you go and do your regular hygiene, right? But think about that. We already do these things anyway, right? So it's just another way for you to use it. Okay, so hopefully now you're understanding this is not rocket science, but once you understand the basic concepts, this is going to empower you to be able to do so many things with this. Remember, it's energy attunement. and energy hygiene, right? Okay. So we talked about a lot about like I said, so why is this important? Goodness, I had to make sure I get this all down. But it's like how attunements prevent burnout, right? And emotional overwhelm. Because that has got to be the number one, just the number one thing that we struggle with as empaths is literally burnout, like energetic and emotional burnout, right? And being overwhelmed, which is like feeling like you're emotionally sunburned, right? That's where you feel like you're overstimulated. Having a practice, and it can be as simple as doing the minute in the morning, right? The minute at night, having things, like I said, like the little spray. If you don't want to have something like this at the office, that's okay. You can have other elements that you can create to take with you in simple ways. I promise you, we're going to cover all these different things, but they are simple tools that makes this as easy as brushing your teeth, taking your vitamins, drinking water, all of these things that we already should be doing to take care of ourselves, right? So this is, yeah. So like I said, so welcome to Energy Attunement and energetic hygiene. Like I said, it's not as hard as it sounds like when we started, right? So hopefully, I'm really excited about this because I cannot tell you what a difference I have seen over the years when you get somebody who feels burned out, who feels overwhelmed, who feels like they can't enjoy their life, that they're just trying to survive it. And to have them be able to find things that are easy to be able to do, things that you're actually going to really be able to stick to, and that they make such a difference in your overall experience in life. I want you to be able to enjoy your gifts. And you can't do that if you're dealing with all the burnout and stuff. So that's one of the main reasons why this is incredibly important, right? It's also, I mean, you can't beat this one. It's like this. It's the importance of being proactive instead of reactive. Because as empaths, we are usually in react mode because of overwhelm. Okay? So that's why it's incredibly important. And this is the other, oh gosh, this is the big one too. The power of discernment. Knowing when your energy is yours and not somebody else's. Ooh, right? How do we know this? Well, I will tell you, it's a practice, but it's not a hard practice. So we'll use for example, say you're at work, right? And you're starting to get really irritated. You're like, oh, I can't sit still. What's going on? Maybe there's not even something major going on. It just that all of a sudden you're just really feeling like you're on alert, right? And you're not understanding, but you're working, so you're not focusing, and it's starting to amp and it gets worse, and now you're getting a little edgy where you're like, oh God, and then all of a sudden they call a surprise meeting and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get done. And then you're on that carousel. You are just going around and around, and the spiral is getting worse. The interesting thing is there's a very good chance, 99% chance, what you are feeling is not yours. And the good thing about that is it's not your responsibility to feel it or keep it. Okay? Now, interesting enough, now, I will tell you, so one of the secret powers that us empaths have, believe it or not, and this is another thing that isn't talked about a lot, is we are meant to feel so many different things to help guide us better in this world. But part of it is when we are feeling other people's energy, or we're picking up, right? Like lint, we're picking that up from everybody else. We are meant to transmute it and release it, because we have the power within us to do this. So something doing as simple, like I said, this spray, and I've now transmuted that negative energy so it doesn't just go wander off to somebody else, right? We've transmuted it, we've broken it up, we've sent it back to source, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So like I said, example, we're at that, we got a meeting coming, we're like, oh my God, and you're in a swirl. And hopefully you can catch yourself and say, okay, I am really, really just kind of spiraling here. I need to take a moment and I need to find out, is this mine? So a way to do this is one hand over the heart, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. You're now very connected with your heart space. Now remember, this is the seat of our soul. This is you talking to your higher self, all of those things. when you do this. You are also connecting deeply with your heart space, so you will know what's yours and what's not. And when you do this, do the deep breath in, deep breath out, and then all you have to do, you don't have to say it out loud, just in your mind, just say, is this mine? Is this coming from me? Soon as you say that, your discernment will kick in. You will feel, and I'm telling you, 99.9% of the time, it's not you. If that's the case, and you're like, oh, that's not mine at all, I don't know whose it is, but it's not mine, then all in this moment you would need to do is say, in your mind or out loud, say, I release you. And the moment you say that, you release that energy back out. Now, like I said, yes, you can do the transmutation thing. Like if you realize that and you tell it to release and you're like, but I'm supposed to transmute it. Then if you have your little spray, spray your spray. If you don't have this to do it, you can also ask for it to be transmuted. I know now we're going off and kind of like the woo-woo stuff, but that's okay because all of us have angels and guides. Okay, spirit guides, you've heard of those before, right? And everyone's got an angel. We get one that's with us before we are brought into this world as souls all the way through until we head out to the other side. And so we always have that. It's like our energetic posse, is like I said, they're like our energetic assistants. So when something like this happens, if this would be me and I'm stuck at work, I don't have my spray, right? I'm going to just take a moment after I do the breath, connect in and say, okay, this isn't mine. I may ask, hey, I'm asked, angels, I need you to come in. Go ahead. I need you to transmute this. Please help me do that. Even just the thought of putting your hand on your heart and asking for that energy to be transmuted can help. But just you learning that it is not yours is the biggest part of this. So don't worry about the other stuff. Don't worry about being responsible for taking out the trash. The important part about this is the discernment, the learning to be able to gauge what's really yours and what's not. So the amazing thing after a while is you're going to realize 99% of that is not yours. It's not yours, which is wonderful. So you get to clear it out. So you don't carry that through with you the rest of the day, just snowballing into other stuff, right? Okay. So hopefully now that's starting to make a little sense, right? Okay. So that's, like I said, discernment, power of discernment. The more you're connecting with your heart space, the more you're going to be able to know what's going on and if it's even yours or what's something you need to worry about, right? Okay. So we talked about what to do for lay alignment. Like I said, I have the exercise, the heart one, super easy to do. There is another episode of these podcasts, a couple of ones back, that deep dives into that. You can go through and hear the whole thing and deep dive about it. If you have any questions, you can put it down in the comments. And if I have to I'll do another video. I take requests, my dears. So don't worry about that. No question is too small or too silly. So don't worry. Okay, and like I said, when's the best time to do this? Well, kind of like brushing your teeth. First thing in the morning, but even before you get out of bed, like I said, remember, that's the best time to do it before you even look at your phone or involve anybody else in it. It should be just you and your heart space. So first thing in the morning and then right before bed. And throughout the day, if you need to, remember I said, hand over the heart, check in, is this mine? What's going on? You're self-soothing, you're connecting, you're doing your attunement, right? Okay. So you've got all of those aspects all throughout the day, right? Okay. So let's see. We've got those done. So I think we got all the main stuff. How crazy. So yes. So my whole reason for doing this is I have such a desire to help put the power back into your hands where it really belongs, And I understand, please don't feel bad. Don't feel upset about the fact that, oh my God, yeah, I do that all the time. Don't beat yourself up about it. We are humans. We are human. We are these souls in these human bodies. But while we are in these human bodies, there are things about being a human that we have to work with. And one of them is this energy thing. And as empaths, our meter, our senses is so much more heightened than average, right? Okay. But the more we realize it's not about protection and shielding where it's a fear-based one, right? It's all about this part. It's all about the daily hygiene. It's all about how you take care of yourself on a heart and soul level. And the more you're connecting with your heart space, This is your superpower. This is, I mean, for empaths, we should just have a huge, instead of a big S like Superman, we just have a big heart, because that's what we are. We are literally such an embodiment of the heart center that we are the heart center, right? And so my wish for this is for you to help understand, to help you do things that are simple to do every day, that you can do to help you, like I said, not just survive, but I want you to be able to thrive. I want you to be able to learn how to take your power back, because that's another thing as empaths. So many of us have given our power away or have had it taken away over the years. And the beautiful thing is, anything that has been removed can be brought back. Any of you can undo so much negative stuff that goes in the other direction just by doing these little daily, they're like little energetic vitamin C's, my dear, and you deserve it. You so deserve it. You so deserve be able to go through life and not feel like you're on high alert all the time. So from my heart to yours, I'm sending you so much love. So be kind to yourself. Like I said, this wasn't a you're being so naughty, you're doing something wrong. This is just like, hey, I've got a couple of things that I want to be able to help you with. And now that you understand this, hopefully this will help you out with that. And to let you know, so also right now, right before I went on, I uploaded to my website. So there should be a link down in the description below that will take you to my main website. And on there is a 3-day series that I set up. It's super easy. It has 3 little things to do every day. And that 3-day, it's a reset and refresh, which is just what you need right now. So that's a way that once you get that going, you just do the everyday things, and it's like a tune-up for your car. It's like taking your car in for an oil change or getting a new filter in and it runs better, right? So that I created it. It's free to download. It is on my main website, and it's called like the 3-day refresh and reset. And so that's available, which, like I said, in 3 days, you'll do a nice big like energetic detox, clear all that out. You've got really easy, basic things to do, and you're back in the driver's seat. And so, and if it's something you end up enjoying doing, I am almost finished. I am creating a more in-depth one. So I have one that's going to be a 7-day reset. Now that one's more of a deep dive. It's a full week, but it is not a lot of extra time per day. It's just a little more intensive and a little more of a deep dive into learning better about the energy attunement part of things and the energetic hygiene, so to speak, and the other different practices that I was talking about, different things. Because there's ways for you, once you get even more involved in this, you are an empath. So it's not just about feeling energy. You can actually work with energy. Just like energy, like if somebody was working, like, okay, here's like a conductor at a symphony, how they are conducting and then the musicians are working with the music. You will be able to do that with energy. And down the road, within that 7-day reset, I'm going to teach you how to do things like not only just putting salt and water in a spray bottle, but what to do to attune those elements that are in this bottle that makes it even more powerful. Yes, so that one is coming up. That one I'm still working on. When I realized how long and how intensive that was, I said, well, I didn't want to do this episode and not have something to give you guys to work with. So I did the little 3-day reset, and that's available for free on my website. It's down, it should be down in the description. You go over there and that's where that one will be. And to let you know about that. And I think that's about it. I will be having some workshops coming up. So that's the other last thing. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and subscribe, because I have some live workshops that I'm going to start doing here on YouTube that I'm really excited, so excited about. And so I'll be doing those. And I have other things coming up that I'm going to be doing through this platform as opposed to the TikTok, just because the live events through there work very well for doing the live readings, but for doing like live workshops or Q&As, I am also getting ready. Right now, we're in the beginning of February, this in 2025. Coming up in April, I will be in Mount Shasta, and I will be I'll be recording different things, and I'm hoping I'll be able to do a live stream. But I will be doing a lot of recordings. But in short, anything that I have that's coming up for that will show up if you have a subscription. If you sign up to subscribe to this channel, you will get the alert, because I will set it as what's called now a premiere, which means even though that event won't happen until April, I may kick out the premiere in the next week or two, and then you'll get the alert and you can click and it will add it to your calendar and let you know if I'm doing a live stream, if I have a release that's coming out for a video, a special video from that event. You will be in the know, so to speak. So other than that, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this. And like I said, if you really like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like. And if you have any questions about the things that I talked about, please go down to the comments and ask away. If you have ideas for upcoming episodes, I will be doing at least once a week. I will be doing this podcast where I do my deep dives on these different subjects. I haven't figured out even what I'm doing next week, but I have a list of like 20 different things I'm really excited about. But I wanted to start all of these first ones out is helping you start empowering yourself to be able to do the other stuff we have coming down the road, which is the more in-depth stuff. But I want to make your everyday a little bit better. So other than that, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.